Well, I got 6 o'clock, so I don't know how many people are tuned in, but I decided to move this to night so that it would not interfere with any teachers or students who wanted to view and wanted to ask questions in case they had Zoom meetings during the day or assignments that they had to do. So we'll see how 6 o'clock works. I know that you're right in the middle of binge watching Tiger King, and that's going to be interrupted tonight. But let me just tell you that it doesn't have a happy ending. So if you want to just quit now and find something else to watch, that's up to you. But let's start with some what I consider celebrations. We did a survey last week, and 86% of our elementary students are getting their work completed. I think that's phenomenal considering that parents are working and that a lot of the students are requiring parent support to get some of them done, especially in the lower elementary. So I want to congratulate all those kids who are working hard every day and the parents who are helping them. And in the 712, it's 72.86%, which is still pretty good, all things considered. But I know that Mr. Suits and the teachers are working hard to try and raise that percentage up even more. So at the board meeting last Monday, the board decided to set Thursday, May 7th, as the last day for seniors to have new assignments or new work. That will give us an entire week before the May 15th date that we set for graduation and to issue diplomas to get any incomplete work done that needs to be completed. The last day for the rest of the students will be Friday, May 15th, which is 3 days earlier than we were intending to get done, but that again gives us a whole 4 days to try and get any incomplete work done that needs to be done. So let's talk about a topic that's of interest. And by the way, if you have some questions, you can call 402-380-787 or text 402-380-7874, and I'll try to answer any questions that you might have if I don't get it all covered here tonight. You can see the phone number directly above that latest state championship basketball trophy. So graduation. I did a survey of senior parents, and I got a little over half of them responded, and all senior parents asked to have a traditional ceremony. Now, I was just talking to public health officials again today, and it just doesn't look like anything's going to happen before the 1st of June, and probably not after that, but definitely nothing in the month of May. So it's going to have to be moved if you want a traditional ceremony. And I've been looking at what other schools are doing, and I noticed Norfolk set their graduation for Sunday, July 26th, which seems to be a safe time to set it because I don't want to move it to early June and then have to move it again and move it again. We need to just find a date that works for everyone and try to have it in late summer if we can. And by that I mean we're just going to have to come up with a consensus of what date is going to work for people. And what I can do is maybe put some sort of a Google survey out or a Survey Monkey survey, and maybe we can get some dates, some seniors some dates that they can look at and tell us what absolutely will not work, so we can find something that works for everybody. Because I would like to have a traditional ceremony if that's what parents want. That doesn't mean that we couldn't do something the 15th as a virtual ceremony. But again, I'm not a person who is good about putting video clips together, so I'm going to need somebody to volunteer, and I wish there were a couple senior girls who are really good at this, who are out there going, well, I think I could probably do that, who would step up and say that they would help organize that and put the clips together if we could come up with some ideas for them. So that's not totally out of the question. And by the way, I don't know that on the traditional graduation date that we would have to have it on a Friday. I know that's been the tradition here because people want to go to other ceremonies. But I think if we did something in the late summer, that we would just have to pick a day that works for us and not be confined to having to be a Friday. If a Saturday afternoon or a Sunday afternoon works better, then so be it. So I've been getting some text messages about something on April 20th where people are turning on their football lights for 20 minutes to recognize the senior class. And I want everybody to know that that's not necessarily a decision that the school can make, because we don't, in Bancroft, we don't own the football field. The village of Bancroft owns the football field, and we have an agreement in place that we will pay electricity to them for the months that we use it, which would be August through November. And then we have maintenance that we have to take care of for the football field itself, but nothing else in the park. So that is a question that has to be agreed upon with the village of Bancroft. I'm not going to unilaterally say that I'm going to turn the lights on for 20 minutes and then have the village get a bill for $75 to $100 for running them that night. I don't have the authority to do that. So if anybody is interested in that, that needs to be a decision that also has to be determined by the village board. And the advice from the health department is that if there's going to be any sort of organized activity by the school, that we need to get health department officials' approval of how it's going to be monitored. So if you're asking the school to support a drive-by at night, then we're going to need some sort of plan in which we will make sure that there's not mixing of families, not too many people in vehicles and that sort of thing. So it's not just, if you just want to turn the lights on, that's fine, but I don't want to be organizing any group travel of any sort. And wouldn't it be nice if everybody just turned their lights on in the whole town for that time? So let's talk about grades. Last time it went 40 minutes, and some of my staff members asked if they watched the recording, and they said when they saw it was 40 minutes, no way was I going to watch that much. So I'm going to try and keep it to about another 10 minutes unless people have questions. So let's go on to the grading and how that's going to look. At the board meeting, we talked about, the board passed a resolution that gives myself and the board president the authority to make decisions on grading procedures. And at this point here, the procedures that we have in place, and the board members all listened to it and agreed to, that we are going to treat third and fourth quarters separately. So third quarter will be its own grade, and fourth quarter will be its own grade. That happens to be the time at which we separated between having regular school and going to e-learning. So each quarter is worth 2.5 credits, which means that, and I don't believe I was trying to check today to see for sure, but I don't believe there were very many, if any, failing grades third quarter. So everybody's going to get at least 17.5 credits for this semester. Normally you would get 35. So you're already halfway there if you passed everything through the third quarter. Now the fourth quarter is going to be graded entirely separate, and it's going to be based on the grades that you've accumulated through your e-learning. They won't be averaged together as a semester grade, and as far as eligibility is concerned, it's going to be the total for fall activities. It's going to be the total credits that you earned, and you have to have a minimum of 20. So that's what we're going to go by for eligibility. Students who do not satisfactorily complete the course requirements will be given incompletes on the report card, and it'll stay as an incomplete until you get all of your work submitted. And we're going to work with the teachers that last week where there aren't any students to make sure that everybody's got the assignments available in Canvas or in some other form, so that the students have an opportunity to complete it. Once those completed assignments are done and graded, we'll put that grade into the transcript. So it could be that you might have incompletes on your transcript for fourth quarter, and they might stay there forever. I mean, that's We can't control that. That's up to the students to control that. But that's the way we're moving forward with grading for third and fourth quarter. Class rank we talked about, and colleges no longer require class ranks be listed on their on transcripts. They have other. It's optional that schools can report it, and at this point, I'm saying because of the change or the things that being different with grading this semester, that I'm recommending to the board that's moving forward that we do not report any class ranks and freeze those as of December, and that we'll move forward with all students being their percentage of their grade percentages will be what we'll be reporting to colleges and not class rank. And when you're looking at a small school of 18 to 25 seniors, there are years where the fifth ranked person in the class would have been first ranked if they would have been the year earlier or later. So that class rank is really just a competition amongst our own students for that particular group of kids, and really for comparing. Uh, it isn't based upon any level of performance. It's just based upon who else happens to be there that year. We really feel like the percentage grades are a better indicator of student ability levels, and so after this year we will no longer have a valedictorian and salutatorian. That decision has already been made, and remember we go with summa cum laude, magna cum laude, and cum laude as our honor percentages. No one's brought up prom or post-prom lately, and I'm surprised, but prom has been canceled here, and I just want everybody to know that the post-prom committee will be returning all the money that was paid for the post-prom party. We've also had questions about lockers and computers. At the present time, we have no plans to pick up the computers or iPads until things settle down a little bit and we're a little more comfortable about having people in the building, and then also having to deal with 200 to 300 devices and having to clean them and disinfect them and make sure that there's no virus on them. I just feel right now that I can hear some students cheering in the background as we speak that they might get to keep their Chromebook or their MacBook or their iPad till June or July, when we can probably closer to July when we bring them, when we're going to need to bring them back in, check them over, put any new things up, delete all the stuff that you've downloaded that you weren't supposed to on there, and then check them back out again the first part of August. So at this present time, we're not going to be picking those things up or arranging to check them in. As far as locker contents, people have been calling me about that. And the current plan, I think, is that we're just going to get bags, and we're going to put all of the contents of those lockers into bags with the student's name on them. And then when we deliver meals, if you're on the meal delivery list, we can drop those off. Otherwise, we can place those bags. If you let us know when you're going to be in town, we can set the bags outside with your name on it, and you can come and pick those up. And so I hope there was no food left in there, in any of the lockers. And it's possible that we might start that next week. Next on my list, the board approved our school continuity of learning plan that I had to submit to the Department of Education. And I think I went through most of that earlier, but basically the key goal is that e-learning will move instruction forward in grades 7-12. So we're going to continue to move education so that we get the course requirements completed by the end of the school year for those courses. And in the elementary, they are currently covering the essential state standards in grades K-6, using either IXL or some other assignments that we can measure how students are performing on the essential state standards. And last of all, I've got information on our transition plan. Basically, that's what we're going to do when we finally get the go-ahead to resume. And there's speculation that things could be eased off in June, and there are other people who are telling me that it might be that we couldn't start school until after Labor Day. So they're all over the place. I don't know who to believe, but I'm planning cautiously. And so, transition for the summer, if we can, we're going to offer our Jumpstart summer school like we always have, 3 weeks prior to the school beginning, and students will be selected for that based on their performance. We usually do their DIBELS testing, but I think we'll then look at their MAPS testing and basically the little quick assessments that we do on students to see who might need extra support. And this year it's very likely that there's going to be a lot more students that are asked to come to summer school, and there might even be a couple that we require to go to summer school if in order to move on to the next grade. So we're working on that. We're also looking at maybe a virtual summer school if we're not given the okay that we can have students in the building. So that's something that we've started talking about today. Students in grades 7-12, if you do have incompletes, you have until the first day of school, August 17th, to get that work done and get that incomplete changed to a regular grade. And then in the fall, elementary students are going to be doing reading, language, math, and spelling. They'll join the groups, pick up right where they left off in March. Again, most of our grades have been making good progress. They're ahead of the lesson pacing that we have mapped out. So I feel pretty confident that if we really focus on it, we will be able to get those back on track and make sure that they are able to complete any work that they didn't get done in that grade level and get the next grade level completed by the end of the next school year, if we can get started on time. All other classes, if it's not reading, language, math, and spelling, all other classes will run as normal starting off at the beginning of the year. And in secondary, we're going to start all classes with the new course curriculum. We're not planning on finishing up anything. When August 17 hits, we're going to start the next school year if we can, or whenever we're allowed. That's when we're going to start. And last thing on my list is driver's education. And Mr. Suits, it was supposed to be the last week in May, and as of right now, Mr. Suits has moved it to the first week in June. We'll see how things go if we have to move it. I know that our teacher is worried about being able to get all the driving in during the summer. So that's one consideration, but we'd certainly like to have that if we could, and if we have to move it back a little bit, we can look at that later. So that's all I have today. I haven't gotten any text messages, so everybody must be okay with everything, I assume. Otherwise, I'm sure you'll text me or email me later. So I'm going to sign off for tonight. It was 18 minutes, so if it is recorded, now maybe some of the people who missed it tonight might be tempted to watch it. Thanks again for joining me.